Hey guys, I just want to take a minute and tell you a little bit about the AIW Patreon page. I know this is something we've been talking about for what feels like years and years, but we finally have gotten around to sitting down and figuring out how to launch AIW Patreon page. Right when the podcast first started, this is something that we came up with and we tried to do, and we just were in no position to properly execute it. We did not know enough about Patreon and enough about how to utilize the reward system. During the month of January, with having no actual AIW events, we sat down and we started working on several things, and Patreon was one of the top priorities. I personally sat down, I learned how it works, I studied different Patreon pages, and I studied different rewards programs, and we came up with what we feel is a great tiered system offering several different things for our fan base. First and foremost, I just want to say this is an optional thing. We do not expect everybody that attends AIW or listens to this podcast or supports us to participate in the Patreon page. However, we just wanted to make more people aware of it, that it's something that we're doing and it's something that we're offering right now. And we're putting together what we feel is some pretty cool content. There are several different tiers. Some are going to offer exclusive Patreon only blogs, podcasts, full AIW events, old AIW events with new commentary tracks. There's all sorts of stuff going on in there. And right now what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a sneak preview of one of the Patreon exclusive podcasts called School Sucks. School Sucks is a podcast that is hosted by Dominic Guarini. He's the current trainer at the AIW Wrestling Academy. And what he's going to do is he's going to sit down with different students who have graduated, currently enrolled, all sorts of different students that have come through AIW, and he's just going to sit down and he's going to get a little bit more in depth with them and talk with them about their experiences, what led them to the school, and several other things. So right now I'm going to give a little sneak peek of that podcast, the first episode of the Patreon exclusive podcast School Sucks, hosted by Dominic Guarini, and the first episode features Big Twan Tucker. If you want to support us and support the Patreon project that we're working on, you can right now by going to patreon.com/AI Wrestling. Like I said earlier, this is totally an optional thing. We do not expect everybody to participate in it. However, we do have a goal of getting 50 patrons by the end of February. Right now, we're right around 34 or 35. So it's not that outlandish of a goal to reach 50 patrons by the end of February. Again, if you would like to participate or even check out what we have to offer, you could head over to patreon.com/AI Wrestling. Thanks.
You got mad, like you were visibly mad because we weren't calling you by the right name. And then about 3 weeks later, we're like, well, what's your wrestling name going to be? And you go, Big Twan. So you just ran with it?
I just ran with it, man. Like y'all are the genius behind the wrestling business, So I was like, all right, Big Twan, that's gonna be my name, man.
So you made your debut at would have been Back to the Future Cup Part 2, as I'll call it, Back to the Future Cup 2017. Mm-hmm. And I will always remember this match for a couple of reasons. One, this was kind of like your guys' big debut. I trained a lot of you guys more than Johnny had because I think you only had about a couple months with Johnny.
Yeah.
Out of all those guys that debuted in that match, realistically, Trey Lamar was the one who had the most time with Johnny. He had about 6 months. But most of you guys only had about 2 months before he had to move to Orlando.
Yep.
So that meant a lot to me because it was like, well, if I'm really bad at training people, we're going to know. Hopefully, that you guys don't fall flat on your face. But one thing I always remember is the match before you guys, the bottom rope breaks. So you guys already have enough nerves going into your first match, and then you guys are dealt the hand of the bottom rope is broken and there's no bottom rope, and we're not stopping the show because we have all of your guys' fans there.
Exactly.
So kind of explain to me your mindset going into that debut scramble.
I was terrified. I ain't gonna lie to you. I was terrified. Like you don't expect something like that to happen. You expect everything to be nice, neat, organized, and something changed and so unexpected, and you got your adrenaline pumping, and you got to remember everything your match. My mind was spinning in places. I got my whole family there. Not my dad, surprisingly, but I had my whole family there waiting for me to come out. And then when I hear something like that, it's like, oh, like, 'cause is it going to affect my match? Is it going to, what's it going to do? But at the end of the day, we just got to go out there, go forward, you know. So, hey, I do what I had to do.
Yeah, and you guys had a phenomenal debut match, you know, and it got a lot of you guys over. Now, here's something I'm going to bring up that not a lot of people know. Out of that match, Trey, Chase, Josh Bishop, you know, and you at that time, you guys formed No Consequences. But you don't make No Consequences. You get taken out for AJ Gray.
Man, they played.
What's your mindset?
They played me, man. They broke my heart.